Hey guys, I'm Adaina Biggs. Welcome back to the Comeback Champions Tour. Thank you so much, Shay, for having me to be a part of this again. It is such an honor to be here. I am so grateful to be part of this and so grateful to be aligned with Shay. And if you are not following Shay, you should be following him and watching everything he does. He's got a ton of free content, really, really good stuff. And, in addition to that, some other things that are also super valuable that you can get from him. So go follow Shay. So I'm Adaina Biggs. I'm a best-selling author, a speaker, and an empowerment coach. And I'm here today to talk to you about unleashing the beast within. So we all have that beast mode, right? We all have that part of us that we like to activate when we want to get stuff done and really accomplish things and succeed and overcome. And we activate beast mode whenever we need to, but sometimes we're just not quite there. We don't feel quite enough motivation or determination maybe to really activate it for ourselves. We'll activate it for our loved ones. You mess with our kids, you're in trouble. But for some of us to follow our dreams and to get what we want out of life, we need a little bit more encouragement. And I hope today to give you that. Just to go to the next level. You might be doing something you already love. You might be completely loving life, but you might need a little encouragement to allow yourself to go to the next level. I'm going to talk to you about letting your inner beast out so that she or he can really claim what's yours, because it's there for you and you know it. So today, the main thing we're going to talk about several things, actually, and I've made some notes. My lights keep going out, but whatever. We'll just deal with it. We have so many ways that we can overcome and become the people that we want to be and to have what we want to have. I call it the future you crave. I try to encourage people to look at the future you crave for you specifically, not what you want for your family or your kids or your community or whatever. What do you want for you? We can look at all that other stuff too, but we need to know what drives you and what really motivates you. And it might be your kids. Or it might be your family. Maybe you want to bring your husband home. Maybe, whatever. There's something going on there for you that really will help to activate you. We're going to plug into some of that stuff and talk about what's really holding you back, if anything, and what you can do to take it to the next level. So what could be holding you back? We're going to do just a little, in fact, I didn't start my timer, so let me start it now. And I don't know how much time I have anyway, so what does it matter? We're going to do some homework. So I'm going to give you some homework. If you have something to write on and something to write with, get that handy, because we're going to talk about what's holding you back, what's not holding you back, what's really holding you back. It's pretty cool stuff. So I would like for you to write down all the things that you believe are holding you back or getting in the way of you having the future you crave. So what are those things? Are they monetary? Are they relationship? What are the things? Is it because you think you're too skinny or too fat or too tall or too short or not pretty enough or not handsome enough or whatever those things are that you believe are getting in between you and the future you crave. Write all those things down. And you may not have time to do that during our talk. So make some notes, write down a few things that come to mind right now. And then we're going to go back and encourage you to finish that later. Okay. Because we're going to harness your inner superpower. You have a secret superpower inside of you. And if you're not using it, this is going to make a world of difference for you. So the other piece of homework is we want you to visualize what your future looks like 12 months from now, if everything goes exactly the way you want it to go. Now, I say this particular bit in pretty much every talk that I give, but it's because it's so important. You've got to do this on a regular basis. Visualize what your life looks like a year from now if everything goes exactly the way you want it to go. The only thing I always ask that you not put in the equation there is winning the lottery, because winning the lottery is not what you need. You just need to activate your inner beast. You just need to activate that version of you that knows how to win. And winning the lottery is like a 1 in 700 million thing, and it's dependent totally on luck. You don't need luck. You got everything that you need right here, and you can harness it and make your future, the future you crave, your actual future. So taking that out of the equation, if everything goes exactly the way you want it to go, 1 year from now, what does your life look like? Who are you hanging around? What are you doing in your daily life? What does it look like when you wake up in the morning? How does it feel? Who are you with? Who are you spending more time with? Who are you spending less time with? And if you're thinking of these things, please jot them down. But I also want you to dedicate some time to this later to really focus on what it is that you want. And you can even make this into a 24-hour experience. And over the next 24 hours, everything that you think of, because you might encounter something and go, I want that, So write those things down, keep track. I don't care if you keep it in your phone or if you write it down. I do care. I prefer that you write it down on a piece of paper, because you're training your brain when you do that differently than when you're doing this. Because, well, we're not going to go there. We don't have time for that. But at any rate, keep track. You might not have a pen and paper handy, so if you keep notes in your phone, keep notes in your phone. So your hidden superpower is your ability to visualize that future, is to visualize the specifics of what it is that you really want. So you might be walking down a road smelling pizza, whatever it is, who knows what it is. But it might just be the freedom. You might be walking through the airport. You might be heading out somewhere, whatever it is, but it's visualizing all these things is your hidden superpower. And all the successful people that you've heard of use this hidden superpower. And everybody thinks it's so woo, but it's all science-based. It's neuro-linguistic programming. It's all you have the ability to program yourself for success or failure. You've been programmed up to this point. And a lot of people don't realize that you have been programmed to get into the system, go to school, get a degree, get a job, and do all these things the way that society wants you to do them, which is great. If that's your bag, that's your bag. It's not my bag. But if it's your bag, that's great. But if it's not your bag, maybe you need to consider something else. And so I want you to think about those things, and also to realize that visualization is a tool that people have been using for so long, many, many years. There's even a reference to this in the Bible. It says, where there is no vision, the people will perish. And because if you have no vision for your future, what are you aiming for? What are you doing? You're just aimlessly wandering around, picking up berries and surviving. That's not what we were put here for. We weren't put here to just survive. We are brilliant, amazing, noble, regal beings, and we are very worthy to succeed and to thrive and to create and to live a life filled with joy and amazement. And I fully, wholly believe that. But you have been programmed to believe something about yourself or about your family or about your circumstances that limits you. And so when you're making that list of things that you think are obstacles or limitations for you, we're going to go back and look at those and point out which ones are lies and things that we can recover from, basically. I tell stories all the time about how people are programmed. They're programmed with their own mind and by the people that love them, their parents, their teachers, their uncles, aunts, whatever. They get programmed to believe things about themselves that are not true. And I really want to undo that programming in everybody. I just want to release all the negativity and unleash that beast, I swear, because we know it's there. You know it's there. You've seen it and you felt it. And we just want to let that part of you out to where you can really just take over your life and undo all that programming, or at least overwrite the programming or overcome the programming. So an interesting story, because I tell these stories all the time. I don't want to tell the story because it's a long story, so I'm going to keep it really short. But there is a scientific experiment you can look up online. There's two I'm going to tell you about, where they trained rats to believe that they were going to die if they smelled cherry blossoms. They just scared these rats. Every time they would release a scent of cherry blossoms, it was mice actually, they would shake their cages and it programmed the mice to believe that the scent of cherry blossoms was potentially fatal or dangerous, and they would quit, shiver in fear every time they smelled cherry blossoms. So of course it got to a point that when they would release the smell of cherry blossoms, the mice would tremble in fear, even if the cages were not shaken. What's interesting about this study is that they took these mice, which were all male mice that were in the experiment, put them with female mice that were never in the experiment. They did their thing, made babies. They took the dads out of the experiment before the babies were born. But after the babies were born, the single moms, the babies would also tremble in fear when they were exposed to the smell of cherry blossoms without ever having seen their father. Just through genetics, that fear was transferred to the child. Those mice's babies, also never having been exposed to any part of the experiment, also trembled in fear when they smelled cherry blossoms, because they were just programmed, not even in their own experience, but through their heritage, they were programmed to believe something that wasn't true. And in the Bible, they call that a generational curse, because it can be handed down. And if you go Google mice cherry blossoms experiment, you can read this whole thing for yourself. It's fascinating stuff. But you could be believing stuff right now about yourself that isn't true, because 2 generations ago, your grandparents were programmed to believe something that wasn't true about them. I'm just saying, this kind of stuff can set you free. I hope you're listening. There's also another study recently that was really fascinating to me, a little different, but also really interesting. There was a clinical trial done with people receiving a new kind of chemo to treat a specific type of cancer. And so, of course, when they do clinical trials, they always have half people get a placebo and half people get the actual drug, right? In the placebo group, again, I'm going to keep this short, but in the placebo group, 30% of the people that were just receiving fluids and not chemo, 30% of those people lost all their hair. All their hair fell out. Do you know why? Because they believed they were getting chemo. There was nothing in there that would cause their hair to fall out. It was just what they believed. And their belief transferred into their whole being. And it made their whole, like their brain believed that this is what was happening, and their body acquiesced. Their body was like, yeah, we're getting chemo, so we're going to let all our hair fall out. This is how powerful the human brain is. If you just harness it in the way that works for you instead of working against you, and you visualize these things positively instead of negatively, and you get off the complaining wagon, and you get away from the lies that were spoken over you that are never true, that were never true, you can really unleash some power within you and become whatever it is that you're, I don't know what you want to do with your life. You might want to make a lot of money, or you might want to just make enough to stay home with your kids, or you might just want to put your kids through school or whatever it is, or you might just want to live a long, happy, healthy life, and you need to be programmed for that, to be programmed out of sickness, to be programmed out of the darkness, and about, again, the enemy has spoken over you in some form or another, through your heritage, through your, through your parents, or directly from your teachers, or whatever. You have the power to undo all of that. And I'm just trying to encourage you to see that and understand that. The proper thing to do is process. Now, we do this in our Future You Crave Academy. We teach all this, and we go through all of this very specifically and do all these exercises together. But we are finding out what is not true. We're visualizing what we want, and we're visualizing what we want to be true, which is the truth. We're learning how to maintain that and to acquire and maintain the proper stance for victory. Now, you've heard of all these people that do all this crazy stuff with their body. Well, they do it for a reason. And the people who do this, they talk about it because it works. If you go and YouTube and look at motivational speakers and look at successful athletes and celebrities and all these people, you're going to find a lot of stuff in there with visualization. Kobe Bryant, Tiger Woods, some of the most successful athletes you've ever heard of use visualization as a tool to become phenomenal in their trade. And they don't just rely on their physical gifts or they rely on, they encompass all the things that are available to them. If you encompass all the things that are available to you, what can you do? With the proper stance for victory, and that is having your mind right so that you're always standing up tall, noble, regal, bold, and courageous, and being that whole version of you. Oh gosh, what could you do? I would love to know. I just see generations and generations of people coming forward, receiving the truth, and blossoming into amazing humans, and really making our whole world a better place. One person at a time, but it's spreading like, it's like popcorn. Once it starts popping, it's like, oh, have you heard about this? Have you heard about that? And boom, 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 boom. You know, now that we have all this information that we can share at a touch of a button, you got Facebook, you got Reels, you got TikTok, you got YouTube, you got all this stuff, and you can share this, and chances are when you do overcome and become, the next thing you're going to want to do is share, because it has been my experience and the experience of all the people that I know who have done this, that the next thing they want to do is make sure that the next generation or the next people behind them in line are getting all the information they need to make this happen. Because once you have what you need in your whole, you can't help but want it for other people. You're just so filled. Your emotional tank is full. Your love tank is full. Everything gets full. And then you want to help other people do the same thing. And it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. I've made a couple notes. Let me make sure I haven't forgotten anything. We're 15 minutes in. That's not bad. Not bad. So the three things that I said that matter to me, you show up daily and you put in some work every day. Every little bit adds up. And if you improve 1% per day, how long does it take you to improve by 100% or 500% or 1,000%? It's actually a compound thing, so it doesn't take as long as you think. But just showing up every day and doing something. And if you do something like this, this isn't a 1% thing. This is a giant leap when you can overcome your programming and see it for what it is, and really learn how to overcome those individual things. Because those individual things that you think are obstacles, they will continue to nag at you. And you'll hear the voice in your head saying, oh, that's a little too big for you, or, oh, that, you know, you got to recognize that voice and be able to say, oh, no, I recognize you. You're not allowed in here. Bye. And it takes tools to be able to do that. It takes practice to be able to do that. It takes dedication to be able to do that, which is where my biggest character trait, I think, that makes people succeed is determination. Determination will win over savvy every time. Savvy is great. You know, if you're savvy in business or you're, you know, charismatic or whatever, that's all great. Doesn't do you any good if you're sitting behind your keyboard not doing anything. Doesn't do you any good if you're eating popcorn, watching movies. You know, not saying there's not a time and place for that, but I'm just saying if that's all you're doing and you're brilliant, somebody who is less brilliant than you but determined will beat you out every time. And some of us can get frustrated seeing people with half the talent or half the ability, half the gifts or whatever it is, outperforming what we know we're capable of doing. And sometimes you'll see somebody, even like me, there'll be people who watch me and say, oh, I can do it. I can do that. I can do what she's doing and I can do it better. Please do. Please do. Because that is the reason that we show up for these things, is to encourage you. We're not trying to be people. I'm not trying to be somebody I'm not. I'm not trying to present as something different than who I am and what I am. I'm just showing up to encourage you to be the next level version of you, and then the next level version, and then the next level version, and to understand how to have all the tools you need in your bags to continue to fight that fight and be determined enough to stick with it, so that on the days that are bad days, you take over. You don't let this take over. You take over and you say, no, not today. So, master your thoughts, because they create your future. And if you can learn to do this very successfully and continuously and consistently, you really can change your whole world. You can change the world for yourself, but you can change the world for your family. You can change the world for your community, and you can change globally. You know, this message goes out to people in different countries, and we've already had people come to us from Paraguay and Australia and places and saying, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And it's amazing the impact you can have. Just a simple conversation. I think I'm having a simple conversation with you right now, and it's not even going to last 20 minutes. But that, well, maybe more, because we're almost there. But that simple conversation can propel you to the next thing, which can propel you to the next thing and the next thing, that enables you to be, do, and have whatever it is that you want, because we're not put here for anything less than that. I don't believe that. And I don't think you believe that, because I don't think you'd show up to something like this if you didn't believe that. Did I say that right? I'm not sure. Anyway, so to wrap this up and put a bow on it, we always talk about the comeback story, you know, comeback champions. And just to give you some encouragement to know where I've come from. I grew up in an abusive home. I grew up very poor. I grew up, I had mostly hand-me-down clothes. Had a difficult life growing up. I decided as a teenager that I was not going to grow up and be poor and have a family and be poor and, you know, live the way that I had lived. So I made some different decisions with my life. Now, I was abused sexually as a child. I learned some programming and behaviors that caused me to be in situations that were not good for me as I got older. I was abducted and raped when I was 19, abducted at gunpoint from my off-campus apartment. And I ended up in a relationship with someone who was very toxic and abusive for a very long period of time, before I finally figured out what was really holding me back. And it was what was here. It wasn't my reality. It wasn't what had happened to me. It wasn't my circumstances. It was my beliefs and what I was allowing. And then I remarried. I met a wonderful man 6 years ago. Fantastic, wonderful, loving, amazing guy. And we were together for 6 years. We were married for 3. Last year, just before I was scheduled to do this event, last year at this time, he died from COVID. Very unexpectedly. My soulmate, my best friend in the whole world. I thought I would die. I just thought I would just give up. And for a couple of months I did, to be honest. And I went through a lot. But guys, I'm here today. And I'm standing here encouraging you. I haven't given up. And I just kept telling myself not to give up. I just kept telling myself, encouraging myself as best I could, even though I didn't want the encouragement at the time. But all I'm saying is, yeah, we've all got stuff. We've all been through a lot. And some people more than others, but we all have our stuff. And we can use that stuff as excuses to fail or reasons to succeed. We all have that choice, and you get to choose. Yeah, you may have had a rough time up till now, but you get to choose. You get to choose what happens from this point forward with you, and how that affects you, how that affects the people you love. You get to choose. It's all the power is in you. All that you need is in you. So make some really good decisions and follow through with them and get out of the places that you don't want to be and get into the places that you want to be with the people that you want to be with, because you're certainly worthy of it. I believe it 100%. If you want to know more about how to work with me, you can go to adaina.com. I think you can get a free guided visualization there. There's a free gift there. If you sign up for the newsletter, then you get the free gift. And then you can get connected with us and see what we do in the Future You Crave Academy. It's fantastic. We love it. And I can't wait to share it with you. But more importantly, I just want you to get what you need, regardless of where you get it. And I want to see you in the future doing this, or whatever it is that makes you happy and proud and wonderful and joyful and noble and regal and amazing, and living your whole life the way you want to live it. Because you can do it. You've got everything you need within you, 100%. You were born with it, and it cannot be stolen from you unless you allow it. Love you guys.